Um, with the existence of smooth jazz, doesn't that just prove that there's a thing called rough jazz?
And the Creator made man, and by his side woman, father and mother of us all. He gave them a choice. Follow the temptation of darkness, or hold on to the blessing of light. But they ate from the forbidden fruit. Their innocence is extinguished.
Tuesday, October 9th, day 1.
It's only 9:30 p.m. and I've been sitting in my car for about an hour, just sitting, idling in the parking lot of my Christian university. Tonight's the night. I'm done thinking. I'm done feeling this pain that I feel every day. I reach into my glove box and pull out a pistol. It's ironic that my dad always imagined that I'd only use this to defend myself whenever the time came. This weapon is supposed to protect me. It's about to be my undoing. I grab the gun, I cock it, and the barrel goes right into my mouth. I grip the gun, and my index finger rests on the trigger. I begin to pull back on it. Dang it. No bullets. Tears stream down my face. I just start wailing on that steering wheel.
I hate having to write in this journal every day.
I step out of my car feeling weaker than I did going in. The walk back to my dorm feels longer than it ever has before. I never knew a 3-minute walk could feel like an eternity. As I walk through the darkness of the parking lot, just feeling so embarrassed about what I've just done. I can't help to think, aren't I in a setting that's supposed to be loving and reaching out with a helping hand? But instead of being turned away and looked at with disgust, every look I get from my peers is like a punch in the gut. This place isn't judgment-free. Judgment-free zone my butt. Yo, what up, guys? We're back with Off-White Podcast. It's just me right now. It's all that matters, you know? Fez is back. It's a good year. It's a good time. What you just heard is an excerpt from a short story that I'm writing called The Demon That Knows My Name. I've been in the progress of writing this for about like a year and a half now. Actually, longer than that, because I started, I started April 28th of 2019, so I was a freshman. That's why I think it's like way longer. But yeah, I was a freshman in college when I began to write this. So it's a short story written in a blog. So I use Wix, and I'm just posting as this. So my character's name is Xander Holcomb. It's about this student. He's studying to be a pastor at a Christian campus, but his main struggle is depression, and it's supposed to play on like that they don't understand him. No one at his college understands what's going on. So the counselor just told him, hey, write in this blog every day, record your next 20 days, and we'll see if you start feeling better or getting better at what you're working on. So then he just starts writing his days and days and days. But there's a supernatural twist to this. He does run into a demon, and it's the demon that knows his name, and like the demon tricks him into doing other things. I don't want to spoil it. I'm really excited. I currently only have 3 days published, but I have 7 days written. I just haven't published them yet. But yeah, it's called Demon That Knows My Name. The main character is Andrew Holcomb. There'll be a link in the description if you're interested in like reading it. And I hope you found it somewhat interesting. The Demon That Knows My Name isn't the first short story I've written. I love writing. That's when I do my free time. I just like writing stories. Or I guess really I love planning stories. And not many get written. I've written a couple of movie scripts, short films that I've been wanting to make, like The Paperboys. It's my most infamous script because almost every year I try making it into a real short film and people sign on like, I'm ready, I want to help you, and I get actors. And then it's just our schedules, man. They never seem to line up. But it's alright, you know? We're gonna get there one day. We're gonna get there, and I'm not worried. And if the Paperboy doesn't see the light of day, then it doesn't see the light of day. But I really do enjoy writing. I just like writing. And a lot of times I spend in the shower. Like, I'm just showering, and I'm just planning stories. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna write this. And then I go on to my phone, and I make little mini outlines, and it's just fun. I enjoy writing, hence why I'm an English major. I love writing stories. I love reading. I love watching TV and movies because I'm a story guy. When I play video games, it's not for online. I hate playing games like Fortnite, not because I don't like the online aspect, but it's because there's no story to it. I'm a huge story guy, and when I play a video game, I want the story. That's why when people were like, oh, I hate Advanced Warfare, I was like, dude, I loved it because it had a cool story. GTA 5 has a great story. Kingdom Hearts has a great story. That's the reason why Smash Bros. Brawl is my favorite, because it has a story mode, and all the Smash Bros. Games do not. So, a story that I've been working on since junior year of high school. It's called The Faithful Spider-Man. It's supposed to be about this kid named Elijah Reynolds. He's just has the powers of Spider-Man, but like it's kind of like that Samson story where an angel comes to his mom and said like he's gonna have these powers, he has to use them for God or whatever, and he just has all these Spider-Man's powers, but he doesn't have webs because like Spider-Man doesn't naturally just have webs. He builds them himself, and Elijah doesn't have that, but he has all the other powers like the spider sense and everything. And then like Spider-Man exists in his world, like the Peter Parker Spider-Man exists in his world, but like he's not real. Like he's in the movies and the comics, like in our world. I have actually all the storyboards done for it. I have the script. I have everything written out for this Faithful Spider-Man. I just need someone to help me draw it. Because I can't draw, and it's hard to draw for a comic book. Faithful Spider-Man, Elijah Reynolds, that's a work in progress. I have a whole Google Drive, I have a whole different email just full of stories and short stories that I've written, poems, raps, songs, movie scripts, and sermons actually too, just all full of it in folders. And I'm excited to like start sharing those stuff. Like it's hard for me just to start sharing, and like because poetry is it's such a connection to your emotions and your mind. Like you can't just write poetry out of nothing. Like it's pure raw emotion, and I'm very much a guy that doesn't just share his emotions with anyone. Like you have to be fairly like lucky to get real emotions from me, because if you ask anyone, like what they know about me are just my stories and jokes that I tell and do on people. Very shallow. Like I care about my friends. I would say I'm a great listener, and a lot of them come to me for advice for stuff. But like, there's very few people that I open up to and really tell what's going on. My pastor that baptized me, I tell his wife actually way more things than I tell him. But those are two people that I trust the most, probably. I don't know. I tend to tell my brother and my sister things. I mean, because we're family, like, but it's just, I don't know. It's just hard to open up to my family members. a lot. I just found it easier to my pastor and his wife to be able to tell him things. I don't know. I also, those are probably the only two people that I would never get angry at for giving me feedback, like criticism on like what I'm doing wrong. I like telling them things like if I got in trouble, they're probably the first people I would tell. They just make me want to be a better person, and I just trusted them from the moment like that I met both of them. I just trusted them a lot. I have a couple of friends like that here at my college that I go to. Today is the second day of classes. Bless the Lord. God is good. God has brought us back to campus, and He's kept me safe so far. I have not gotten corona, and my best friend, she has yet to get corona. I'm glad, I'm faithful. God is good. But yeah, even though it's the second day of being back in school, it's been busy. I've been doing a lot. God has been showing me a lot. God is good. Man, I can't even express how good God is. Like, He has just done wonderful things in my life. He's been blessing me with gifts. I've just been like told that I'd be like working with the chapel singers at my college. I had an opportunity to sing with a band called it's called Upper Room. It's an event. It's like every Monday nights at my college, and it's worship. There's a worship band singing to the Lord. It's about singing to God, and then there's usually a word after, a good sermon from one of the chaplains at our school, and I was given the opportunity to sing in front of my peers, to worship the Lord in front of everyone. See, the hardest thing, I think, for people my age, to be a Christian, is to be able to share your heart that you have for God, to be able to share that you love God, because criticism comes, like, it's just so hard because the world around us has just gave Christians a bad name, and it's just hard because like the media, TV shows, movies, they just rip on Christians all the time, make jokes, make fun of people for being religious. And it's so hard sometimes to be able to tell someone Jesus loves you, or I love Jesus. And the Bible calls us to just spread His gospel, to spread that love that Jesus gives. And I always hated the testimony I gave at high school. Looking back, like I didn't deny God's existence. When we did get down to talking with my friends and my fellow peers about God or Jesus, I was in the conversation, but I didn't show it with my body and like my language and the things I would do, and I regret that. But like that can change now. Yeah, I go to a Christian university. It's a Christian private school, but not everyone here is Christian. There are so many people that aren't. It's crazy. There's people who believe in God but don't want to do the God things they say, or they don't want to go to church. They don't believe that there's someone above us, and like it's just mind-boggling. But to given an opportunity to worship in front of my peers and say words like "Open the eyes of my heart, Lord," like there's one thing going up there and singing that and being a show and not meaning the words, but when you sing those words and you truly feel and truly want God to open the eyes of your heart, like I need that. I need God. And then we sang a song like, fill the atmosphere. Like, Lord, fill the atmosphere. I want to live in a world, in an atmosphere that you surround. And that's why I chose my college, because we are surrounded by God. We're surrounded by God everywhere, but you truly feel it when you're worshiping with all your peers. Dude, there was like, 200 people in one area. Yeah, we're supposed to be quarantining 6 feet apart, but people weren't wearing masks, people weren't 6 feet apart, but I saw people with their eyes closed, praying, worshiping, singing along with the worship band, people singing louder than me, and I was up there with a mic. Yeah, I could hear people from the audience louder than the feedback coming from the speakers, and that's what makes me happy. that brings joy to my heart. Oh, sorry, that was just a rant about how good God is, and like just a little bit of my heart. I really do consider myself a Christian, and I want this podcast to show more of that. That's another reason why there's a lot of changes coming to this podcast. A lot of changes have happened. We no longer have X, Stone, and Brownie. They're all gone. It's just me now, and I really want to just make this podcast about God. I'm not gonna come and record every week and give you guys sermons, but I will tell you what's burning in my heart. And I'm still a nerd. I love talking about movies and comic books, and I'm 100% gonna keep talking about those things and stuff that's going on in my life. But I'm also gonna bring up what God is doing and where God is in these comic books and TV shows. There's so many imagery, like so many stories are God's stories, Jesus' stories. Superman was killed by Doomsday in the comics, and he was resurrected in 3 days. They didn't just make that up. That came from the Bible, because Jesus died and came back in 3 days. Just good stuff, man. God is in everything. He is everywhere, and I want to make sure he's in this podcast. So, all right, before I move on, I mean, that was just a wild rant. I was not expecting to go and talk about that. But yeah, here's a recap of the podcast. I mean, most of you are aware, if you're listening to the podcast ever, you'll know that we had Brownie, we had X, and we had Stone. Stone graduated. I haven't really messaged him, unfortunately, but I know he's working. I know he's just living his life the best that he can. I'm excited. I'm gonna hit him up one of these days and see what's going on. Let's be honest. I kind of just fired them all. It's just our schedules conflicted too much, and I'm gonna be honest. I cared about this podcast way more than any other three did, and that's why I'm here and that's why I'm doing it. But it was so fun working with them. I remember the many things. We had Obama on the show for an episode, which was crazy cool. You can find that episode in the description. It's one of the bonus episodes. I interviewed Obama about quarantine. Just the funny stuff X would always say. X is a brilliant man. He's a rapper, inspiring rapper. He's just doing life right now, and it's great. I see him. I'm actually recording this on his birthday. Happy birthday, X. I know it's gonna be late when you hear this, but happy birthday. I love you, man. And I'm just excited to see where God takes you. And then most of the show, it was just me hitting on Brownie. So it's like, nah, nothing happened there. I failed, guys. I'm sorry for all you long-time listeners. I still haven't married Brownie, but like, who knows? Who knows what can happen? Nah, she's still my best friend. I see her all the time. This podcast felt more like it's my baby, my child. So I wanted to take over. Brownie's still an English ed major. I'm pretty sure she's ahead of me in our classes and stuff, but that's all right. It's all right. So the big thing I've been wanting to talk about on this podcast for a while, I want to talk about two different TV shows, Daredevil and Arrow. Arrow is one of my favorite TV shows in the world. My number one, though, is Daredevil, but we'll get back to that. Arrow, I love Arrow. Arrow is number 4 on my list of my top 5 TV shows, but I love all the CW shows. I love superheroes. If you are a long-time listener of this podcast, you know I'm a nerd. I love superheroes. I love Star Wars. I love anything to do with Marvel, DC, Image, and Mirage comics. But, dude, in December of 2019, January of 2020, before quarantine, before the world went mad, we had the greatest crossover event in history. There was no TV show crossover better than this. Crisis on Infinite Earths was released in December. It was a 5-episode crossover, and I love my crossovers. the main shows that crossed over were Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, Constantine were the 6 main shows that crossed over for this 5-episode epic. But then they added shows like Birds of Prey, Smallville, Lucifer, the Batman 1966 version with Adam West. And they also added shows like The Ray, Vixen. It was just one massive crossover. And then they brought in Superman from Superman Returns, like the movies. Brandon Routh playing Superman again. Insane in the membrane. They also had a cameo of the Tim Burton Batman. And then they had Kevin Conroy, the official voice of Batman in cartoons. They're all just in one big like crossover, and it's amazing. It's 5 episodes long. There's action, there's some cheesy dialogue, cheesy acting, but just seeing all these heroes and villains like coming together, teaming up to stop this big bad.
Among the many misconceptions humanity holds dear is the fallacy that all beings are created equal. In truth, there are those who are greater. They are called heroes. But even among heroes, there are different echelons. The highest belong to those known as the Paragons. And they are the only hope of all creation.
There's a wave of antimatter sweeping across this universe, destroying everything in its path. If we don't stop the antimatter wave here, it will continue to the next universe, and the next, and the next, until it has obliterated not only every Earth, but everything across all reality.
Across space and time exist 7 heroes, beings of the purest will, who can save the multiverse. Kara Zor-El, you are the Paragon of Hope. Sarah Lance is the Paragon of Destiny. I have only descriptions for the other Paragons, who can ultimately defeat the Anti-Monitor.
Okay. Who wants to meet Batman?
Things are turning out differently than expected. Everything we know, everything there is, and everything there ever was, is doomed.
Dying's the easy part. The dead are at peace. The real heroes are the ones who have to keep going.
Hello?
What the hell is this? I'm asking myself the same question. Literally.
Well, so I know I'm just throwing all these random shows because whatever, man. Most of them are on Netflix. If they're not on Netflix, they're on HBO Max. I am not advertising. Like, I'm not getting paid to tell you this stuff, but this stuff is great. Like, I made an edit of all 5 episodes into one big thing on iMovie, because there's things that happen at the same time. So like, I'm just spreading scenes around, and oh my gosh, it was an adventure to make such a marvelous thing. It turned out to be 4 hours and 33 minutes of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I can't believe I just almost messed up that title. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Such a huge thing. It just makes me so excited. My boss hated it because I kept playing it over and over again at work. I work at a pizza place back in my hometown, and I put it on a flash drive, plugged it onto the TV, and I played it on a repeat, and my boss hated it because, you know, TV special effects are nothing like movies. Like, it's okay. Let me tell you how much of a nerd I am. I watched every superhero film, Marvel, DC, Ninja Turtles, Mirage, Image Comics. I watched them the day before their premiere in theaters, and dude, I saw Infinity War. I cried in the theater, and then Endgame was coming. When I first found out there was a trailer dropping for Endgame, I stayed up till 4 in the morning because that's when it was supposed to drop in my time zone. 4 a.m. I'm waiting there. I'm sitting there. I made my friend Jake just wait with me. And surprise, surprise, they decided not to release the trailer because George H.W. Bush died. Out of respect, they were like, let's not release the trailer today. I was upset. I'm going to be honest. I like the president, but I really wanted to see that Endgame trailer. Eventually it did come out. Dude, I watched that in every class period that day. I was a freshman in college, so I just kept watching that trailer over and over again. I had a notebook full of theories and ideas. Dude, I started dreaming. In my dreams, I just kept picturing this movie. Like, I saw myself walking to the theater, and then Endgame finally came out. And 2 months before release, I bought 2 tickets to watch it by myself twice. So I watched this 3-hour epic twice. 6 hours of my life. Not a regret. But back to Crisis on Infinite Earths. At the end of this podcast, actually, I'm gonna play a trailer for it, so you can see how epic it is. So please stick around for that. I worked hard on this trailer as well. But yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths. So the story is, there's this hero, Arrow. He's the Green Arrow. His name is Oliver Queen. He was lost on an island for 5 years, and he had to survive. And within those 5 years, he learned how to fight, hunt, survive, kill using bow and arrow, sword, just how to be a superhero, basically, just a vigilante. He has no powers. He dabbled with magic a little bit, but come on, he doesn't use it often. Then he teams up with all these superheroes: Superman, Supergirl, John Constantine, Black Canary, White Canary, and Crisis of Infinite Earths really just plays as Arrow's series finale. There's other shows going on still, but yeah, it's the Arrow season finale, and it's just so cool how this God, his name is the Monitor. They call him God, lowercase g, all right? They call him a God because he has all these abilities and powers and he can control so many things. But a mistake that he made a long time ago, so the reason why I find this so interesting is because they do borrow some elements from the Bible, because Constantine is a series about magic and exorcism and all these things. And John, he's an exorcist. He dabbles in black magic, and his personal show revolves around him talking with angels, trying to figure out all of God things. There's an episode in Arrow where they mention like, oh, we need help from John Constantine because he has magic or whatever, and Oliver the Arrow was like, no, we can't call him. They're like, why not? And he was like, oh, because he's in hell. And they're like, oh, should we go help John? And they're like, no, he's like literally in hell. And John Constantine revolves around the supernatural. Kind of is actually what inspired my Xander Holcomb series. But yeah, so John Constantine talks to demons. And there's a show called Lucifer, which is exactly what you think it is. It's the devil, Satan from hell, got bored of being the ruler of hell, so he went to Los Angeles for vacation, and he's been there for 6 years or whatever. So this episode technically is a prequel to Lucifer 5 years before. He's in LA, and obviously Lucifer, like his show talks about God, angels and stuff. And the respect they have for the Christian religion in those shows is surprising. Like usually Christian shows, I'll talk more about this in Daredevil, but usually when they talk about Christianity in TV shows or movie or in any media, it's either ridiculed or just like slandered or whatever, you know. It's a very offensive to Christians around. But Lucifer and John and the Constantine TV show, they both share respect. I wouldn't consider them Christian TV shows. I wouldn't consider them to watch if you really want to see what it's like to be a Christian or whatever. But they do respect the Bible, and they respect God and Christians. And it's this crazy thing. So the whole aspect of this TV show, the reason why all these different TV shows are coming together, they're all from different Earths. So Smallville has its own Earth, Birds of Prey has its own Earth, Arrow and Flash are on one Earth together, Supergirl's on a different Earth. They're all like parallel universes, so they're all the same Earth but different. Like a couple things, some of them it's just that they're exactly the same except like one thing different happened. Like one Earth 9/11 never happened, and one Earth the Nazis won World War II. One Earth Oliver Queen the Arrow was never born. Another Earth Batman's missing. Like, it's just little random things. So what's happening is this thing called the Anti-Monitor, because the Monitor went to he tried going to the beginning of time and was rejected by God. God stopped his mission. You know, the Christian guy, capital G, stopped his mission and sent him somewhere else. So he ended up in a different universe called the Anti-Universe. I know it's super nerdy and weird, but the Anti-Monitor there has the same powers as the Monitor, but if the Anti-Monitor is alive, the Monitor grows weaker. And the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor's war is coming crazy, and Earths are getting destroyed, planets and everything. The trailer will explain it better than I do, but yeah, so these planets, these Earths are getting destroyed, so then these superheroes from different Earths are looking, so there's like 5 different Supermans in this. The Superman that comes up from the Supergirl show, Smallville Superman's in this, Brendan Routh from Superman Returns is in this, so it's just 3 Supermen. They all like talk and meet and like are like, what do we do? And they join forces with the Green Arrow, they join forces with Black Lightning, and then the Flash from the 1990 series comes out, and the Flash from this series comes out, and it's really like very like, it's for the fans. This is for the fans like of these longtime TV shows, DC, and it's just great to see everything together and coming together and how they fight together. But the scene that stuck me out the most is Lucifer. There's a scene where one of the characters dies. I'm not going to try to spoil everything. And John Constantine, as he knows the supernatural and demons and stuff, he takes it upon himself to go retrieve this soul of this fallen hero. And of course he has to jump to another planet to where Lucifer is, to where he's hanging out in Los Angeles, and he goes, Lucifer, I need to get this soul. Like, he tries making a deal. The whole thing about Lucifer and his TV show is he makes deals, but he actually follows through, and he has this power where he just says to you, what do you truly desire? And then every human is forced to tell Lucifer what they really want in life. And of course they show that off in the TV show. And Lucifer says to the daughter of the hero, what is it you truly desire? She said, I want my dad back. And Lucifer says, he starts laughing, and because the skies turn red before the planet destroys, and he says, this is so biblical, John. Soul retrievals, the skies turning red, it's biblical. As he's referring to, obviously, Revelations, and I feel like for the normal viewer who aren't Christians, that would just go over their head a little bit, you know? And the fact that they talk about that, Revelations is a real thing to them, to the characters. That the Bible, the history of the Bible, the history that's in the Bible is real to them. And that just shows, like, God is in everything. Yeah, maybe 30 seconds of this 4-hour epic mentions God a little bit. It's just surprising to me, and the respect they have for it, and just how it connects.
So many Earths already gone. The pillars of magic are crumbling, leaving me the worst for wear. So I can't get us into purgatory. But don't worry, Squire. Luckily, I know a guy.
Oh, you're gonna love her. She's pretty much up for everything.
Always a pleasure to see you, Lucy.
Johnny! Well, I'd like to say it's a pleasure to see you on my Earth outside my club, but it's not. Hello? I don't believe we've met. Lucifer, Morningstar.
Lucifer Morningstar, as in...
The devil, yes, exactly. So tell me, What is it you desire?
I desire to get my father back.
Why didn't you say so?
Look, I don't know if you have an Oliver Queen on your world, but ours is shuffled off this mortal coil.
A soul retrieval, blah, 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 the worlds are ending. It's all very biblical, John.
It's just crazy, just because it's so easy to look into these shows or movies and like try to say, oh, this slanders God, or this doesn't have God, or like this is just bad, naughty, inappropriate. I mean, I wouldn't say play Christ as an Infinite Earth in church for the youth group because it's going to teach them so much about God, but I also wouldn't say that it's completely bad. Like, we need to look in, because God doesn't look for the bad. He looks for the good in people. He looks for the good in everything. He looks for the positive and the happiness of everyone. So instead of just like grabbing something and looking at something, reading a book, calling Harry Potter awful, let's look at the good. Look at the message. Look at what they have of God. God is truly in everything. So why not just listen for him and hear him out? There's so many movies that I've seen where they teach you so much, give positive messages, but are slandered. Because it's so easy. I could pull in Passion of Christ and talk about all the bad things they have. Oh, that didn't happen in the Bible. That shouldn't be in this movie. Or like the movie Noah. The movie Noah is not accurate to Noah's Ark really at all. But there are some good messages. This whole big like speech that Russell Crowe's character, well, Noah gives, and he talks about the creation of earth and how sin was created and why sin is bad. And this isn't a Christian movie. It's a movie. It even says like this isn't supposed to be a Christian film. And yet people still criticize it like, oh, it's trying to slander God. Look for the good. And that's why I think that would solve every issue with racism, with human trafficking, everything. We need to live our life the way Jesus did. Everyone always asks, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Live your life. Before you do something, think, what would Jesus do? You know what he would do? He would love first. He would love first. And we need to start doing that. We need to start loving each other and stop attacking each other. Stop judging each other. Yes. Tell me so many times you open the Bible and read to me that passage where it says that Christians are told to judge other Christians. But I really do. I could go on a huge rant on that too. But I don't believe God is telling us to judge them like we judge people. Instead, like I judge like a scale, like weigh out the good and the bad. Like you want to weigh out and you want the good to be heavier than the bad being the sin and good being love. The whole New Testament is about love, loving one another, loving your brother and sister. Yes, we all commit sins and we're not trying to continue sinning, but we have to love each other. It's so easy. It's so easy to get mad and start holding grudges and pushing people away. And I don't like you because when I was in 3rd grade, you glued a hamster to my hair, and now I hate you. I never want to see you again. That's so easy to say, but you know, it's not about what's easy. It's about what's right. And I should say, I love you. I forgive you. I'm going to tell a quick story. This isn't my story, but this is a story I was told this week, and it encouraged me. I heard it on Saturday. Our chapel singer, the main guy, the boss man, the man with the voice, we're just getting coffee and we're talking. And he says to me that he moved into this dangerous neighborhood or whatever. I know the neighborhood, yes, it's considered dangerous, but they move in. He has his nice bike. He like all the teenagers and younger kids come to his house, play with his dogs, hang out in his yard because it's a big backyard, and they just love hanging out with him. And he's a cool guy. He's a chill dude. So I can understand why everyone in the neighborhood would want to come over to his house. He just has that house that the neighborhood kids want to be at. One of the kids that he started having a connection with stole his bike. The next day, whatever, this guy, the chapel singer, he's praying, God, please bring me back that bike. I would really appreciate it, God, or an explanation, you know? And as he's praying this, the older brother of the child is bringing the bike back and apologizes, and instead the chapel singer takes it, and he's grateful that he has his bike back. He knows exactly who stole it. Neighborhood kids come back, play with the dog, and this is where God starts working, because there's like, I don't know how many kids he said. In my mind, I pictured like 30 kids in his backyard, but there's probably like 4 or 5, but whatever. In my story, there's 30 kids in this guy's backyard playing with his dogs, running around, and one of those kids is the kid that stole the bike. But everybody leaves. But the one kid that stays and sits on the porch and hangs out a little bit longer than everybody else is the kid that stole the bike. Now this is the chapel singer. I almost keep saying his name. I don't want to just name drop him. But this chapel singer, he comes out and talks to the child. And instead of telling him, you know, I hate you, never come back to my house, I know you stole my bike, like, I'm angry at you, I never will forgive you, and like, instead of punching him in the gut and kneeing him in the face, the chapel singer says to him, yo, I know you took my bike. And of course, as a child, you know, no, I didn't take it. And again, the chapel singer says, I know you took my bike, but I forgive you. And then the conversation doesn't end there. He continues to explain to him what forgiveness means and what forgiveness is. And though he's not telling him 100% about the Bible, about God, but he's teaching him about forgiveness, because God forgives us every time. Jesus would love first. Nathan loved first. Nathan, name dropped him. The chapel singer loved first. Could have sent this kid on his way, told this kid never come on my property again, but instead he told him he forgave him. The same way God forgives us every day, because you do not go a day without sinning. I do not go a day without sinning. No one goes a day without sinning, and God forgives us every time. Jesus would love first, and that's what we need to do. I was encouraged to continue loving, because it's so easy for me to hold a grudge or be angry at someone or to get jealous. Jealousy is my biggest problem right now. I am struggling to not get jealous over my friends. And talking to this chapel singer, him telling me this story of the kid that stole his bike, encourages me to love and love some more. Sorry, I went another rant, but Jesus would love first, and I'm so happy I was able to talk about it. Maybe I was talking in circles. Maybe this whole podcast doesn't make any sense to anyone, but I don't care. I'm glad I was able to share my heart again. I'm glad. Be expecting me every week. We'll start being released every Wednesday from now on, and get used to my voice and get used to hearing some more of my stories. And I'll be sharing poems, songs, different things on here. All right, man. All right, guys. Have a great night, and thanks for tuning in.
The stage is set. Worlds will live. Worlds will die. And the universe will never be the same.
A crisis is coming. The monitor thinks we're facing the collision of reality. I've traveled from my Earth to warn you.